Hello and welcome to TVB News. In Cheungsha-wan, a private car escaped from police pursuit by smashing into at least 4 vehicles earlier today. Police are trying to track down the driver who fled the scene. 2 taxi drivers and a pedestrian were injured in the incident. Jackie Lin with some of the dramatic scenes captured during the brazen getaway.
The driver of the private car caught in the scene set. The black sedan eventually reversed out onto the pavement on the right and eluded police capture. A female pedestrian was injured. 3 damaged taxis were left in the middle of the road. One of the cabbies said the driver must have gone full throttle in a bid to clear the path for a getaway. The dramatic scene unfolded before noon on Castle Peak Road near Tainan West Street. That's after officers discovered a suspicious black sedan during patrols, reportedly with an expired vehicle license, and attempted to intercept it. 2 traffic lanes were cordoned off during the ensuing investigation. One of the injured cabbies as well as the female pedestrian were taken to the Caritas Medical Center for treatment. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
Another typhoon may be heading towards Hong Kong. The observatory said Koinu, currently centered to the east of the Philippines, has intensified into a severe typhoon. It's expected to move towards the vicinity of the Luzon Strait and the southern part of Taiwan before entering the South China Sea. Today is another scorching hot day in the city. A high temperature of 33 degrees Celsius was recorded in the urban area. Conditions are expected to deteriorate later this week because of the typhoon. Koinu is forecast to move northwest towards the vicinity of the Luzon Strait and the southern part of Taiwan and continue to intensify. The observatory added the trajectory and intensity of Koinu may be affected by the northeast monsoon. An average of 300,000 people traveled to the mainland from Hong Kong daily over the 3-day Mid-Autumn and National Day break. Mimo Singai reports.
This is the West Kowloon station, which is filled with travelers from the mainland. While the 3-day holiday in Hong Kong has almost ended, today only marks the 4th day of the mainland's 8-day long break. This tourist from Guangzhou says he wants to avoid the crowd on National Day, so he decided to visit the city today. It was more difficult to buy train tickets to get here in the last 2 days, he added. This girl who traveled with a friend said they bought their tickets 2 weeks in advance. It's our first time in Hong Kong, so we will do some sightseeing, she said. In the past 3 days of the 8-day break, the total number of mainland tourists arriving in Hong Kong is approximately 460,000, reaching 60% of the pre-pandemic tourist level. Timothy Cho, the city's Tourism Association Executive Director, listed several reasons why the number of tourists has declined. For instance, mainlanders think it is expensive to travel to Hong Kong due to the strong exchange rate of Hong Kong dollars. They also like traveling within China. It is a habit they have formed, Cho said. Meanwhile, many locals decided to spend their holiday in the city by exploring new shopping malls, such as the one in Taipei. However, not everyone is pleased with what the malls can offer. This man said all the malls are similar and have nothing special. Over the last 3 days, around 333,000 residents left the city. 90% of them went across the border. Lawmaker Eunice Yung said a greater selection of shops is needed at local shopping malls if owners want to attract customers in the long run. Mimos 9, TVB News.
The night markets in Wan Chai and Saiwan will close after tonight. The 2 markets are part of the government's Night Vibes Hong Kong campaign. Despite the hot weather, many residents flocked to the night market in Wan Chai this afternoon. Some stall owners said their profits were better than expected. Although it is the final day of the night market, many stall owners said they received notices from the organizer saying they can continue operations for 3 more Fridays and weekends. Meanwhile, the night market in Saiwan also attracted shoppers, with some saying they would later head to the Wan Chai Bazaar. U.S. President Joe Biden has sought to reassure allies of continued U.S. financial support for Ukraine's war against Russia. This after Congress on Saturday excluded funding for Ukraine in passing a stopgap bill that averted a government shutdown. The European Union's foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell, has called on U.S. lawmakers to reconsider their decision during a visit to Kyiv. Nazvi Karim has more.
U.S. President Joe Biden said the Republicans made a promise to Ukraine and he will make sure they keep it. Biden is talking about a vow to support a separate bill that provides more aid to help Ukraine in its war with Russia. This after the U.S. Congress left out Ukraine funding from Saturday's stopgap bill that averted a government shutdown.
And I want to assure our American allies and the American people and the people of Ukraine that you can count on our support. We will not walk away. The vast majority of both parties, I'll say it again, Democrats and Republicans, Senate and House, support helping Ukraine and the brutal aggression that's being thrust upon them by Russia. Stop playing games. Get this done. Quite frankly, I'm sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of the brinksmanship. And so are the American people.
Cutting Ukraine out of a bill that keeps the U.S. government running until at least November 17th means the loss of about $6 billion to Kyiv. The United States has already provided about $113 billion in aid to Ukraine since the start of the war in February 2022. More than a week ago, a group of U.S. lawmakers met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who tried to stress that Ukraine was winning and that no aid means losing the war. This amid perceived flagging support for Ukraine among some U.S. lawmakers. More emphatic in its support is the European Union, whose policy chief Josep Borrell is in Kyiv. Borrell called on U.S. lawmakers to reconsider their decision to omit Ukraine from their stopgap bill, while saying the EU remains committed to Kyiv's cause.
And we believe it's not the last word. After listening to President Biden, who make a call for this decision to be reconsidered, I have the hope that this will not be a definitive decision and Ukraine will continue having the support of the U.S. From our side, we haven't waited for this decision to be taken to increase our propositions to support Ukraine.
He said the EU will propose a Ukrainian fund of 50 billion euros, along with another 20 billion euros proposed earlier under the European Peace Facility for Ukraine over the next 4 years. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
The church roof collapsed, killing at least 10 worshippers and trapping others on the east coast of Mexico. Dozens were injured as rescue workers sifted through the wreckage searching for survivors. It's thought there were about 100 people inside the church when the roof caved in. Around 50 were taken to hospital. Residents joined professionals in shifting debris as quickly as possible as people called out from underneath brick, wood, and metal. Some dived under pews to survive in air pockets. Military personnel supported emergency services into the night using rescue dogs and earth-moving equipment to dig out survivors. The bishop said worshippers were receiving communion when the structures failed. He asked for prayers for those affected. A death toll from a fire at a Spanish nightclub has risen to 13, with bodies still to be identified. The fire started in the southeastern city of Murcia in the early hours of Sunday. Pictures show the building missing part of the roof and engulfed in flames. Firefighters tackled the blaze for hours. Revelers who managed to escape waited on the street for news of friends who were missing. Reports say most of the dead are from one group of friends who were celebrating a birthday. Fire investigators are still unable to access the dangerous site, but the mayor of the city says an investigation will determine if anyone is to blame. In Egypt, a huge fire broke out today in the police headquarters of the northeastern city of Ismailia. At least 38 people were injured. The blaze ripped through the multi-story police headquarters. 12 of the injured were treated at the site, while 26 others were taken to hospitals. All but 2 of them suffered from breathing difficulties. It's not immediately clear how many police officers were in the building, which was severely damaged by the blaze. The cause of the fire is still being investigated. China and Germany wish to expand market access opportunities between the 2 countries. That's according to a joint statement after their financial dialogue in Frankfurt on Sunday. According to Vice Premier He Lifeng, both sides vowed to work together to maintain the stability and security of global supply chains and take a firm stand against decoupling. German Finance Minister Christian Lindner said both countries are determined to expand market access opportunities and open them up in a level playing field. He said this would create more opportunities for more responsible trade and investment. The 3rd financial dialogue between Beijing and Berlin was attended by representatives of the country's central banks, supervisory authorities, and companies. Indonesia has launched Southeast Asia's first bullet train. President Joko Widodo inaugurated the Jakarta-Bandung high-speed railway named Whoosh, which started its commercial operations today. The rail cost over $7 billion and is a key project under China's Belt and Road Infrastructure Initiative. It cuts travel time between the Indonesian capital, Jakarta, and the country's 4th largest city, Bandung, from the current 3 hours to about 40 minutes. The rail line spans over 140 kilometers, with trains running at up to 350 kilometers per hour. The trains are equipped with a safety system that can respond to earthquakes, floods, and other emergency conditions. Scientists Katalin Karikó from Hungary and Drew Weissman from the U.S. have won this year's Nobel Prize in Medicine for discoveries that enable the development of effective mRNA vaccines against COVID-19. According to the Nobel Prize panel, the duo's groundbreaking findings have fundamentally changed our understanding of how mRNA interacts with our immune system. They contributed to the unprecedented rate of vaccine development during one of the greatest threats to human health in modern times. Nobel announcements continue with the Physics Prize on Tuesday, Chemistry on Wednesday, and Literature on Thursday. The Nobel Peace Prize will be announced Friday and the Economics Award on October 9th. During the torrential downpours early last month, districts such as Wong Tai Sin and Chaiwan experienced serious flooding. The Drainage Services Department said they will conduct a review to assess if these areas should be designated as flooding black spots. Jackie Lin reports.
During this historic rainstorm, dubbed by the government as a once-in-500-years pummeling of the city, coming in lockstep were widespread flooding and devastation. The government was said to have dispatched more than 140 teams from the Drainage Services Department to handle many emergency situations. Team members included this mini desilting robot. It's capable of breaking down rocks and debris, pumping away litter and other washouts to clear the drains such as box culverts. Its bigger version can help to clear larger water courses. The Drainage Services Department's Chief Engineer Shekin Tang said these robots could dredge out as much as 10 tons of silt every day. That's a much better result than the traditional desilting processes that can only be undertaken during dry seasons. To clean up the sewage system under our feet, high-pressure water jets and pumps are the go-to tools. While the Drainage Services Department reminds that citizens could sweep away fallen leaves or other debris on top of the drains, they should refrain from removing manhole covers when flooding occurs. When asked if the government could expedite the construction of more flood storage ponds to better control stormwater runoff, the Drainage Services Department said they are reviewing the possible sites. But they said for urban areas, only parks and public recreational facilities could be considered. The department will also review if flood-hit districts such as Wong Tai Sin and Chaiwan will be designated as flooding black spots to better coordinate flood management efforts. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
That is the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.